When it comes to cleaning your house, you probably think of the obvious things like dusting and vacuuming, but this morning we're taking things to the next level to boost the environmental health of where we live. And here to help us is Naturopathic Physician Rachel Harmon. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Kelly.
Thanks for being here. So I'm loving these tips already, and we're starting with fruit, which everyone is loving this summer. So what do we need to know about our produce?
Yeah, so in the past few weeks, the Environmental Working Group released the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15, which you may have heard of. So the Dirty Dozen are produce items that we really want to prioritize organic wherever possible. The Clean 15 being a little more open to the conventional because they're not as sprayed with pesticides. So when it comes to the Dirty Dozen, if you can't find organic strawberries at your farmer's market or you're not growing them at home, there are still some things that we can do to minimize your pesticide intake, including herbicides and fungicides, to help your health outcomes overall. A lot of pesticides are categorized as endocrine disruptors, so they can affect our hormones and our nervous system.
Okay.
So one thing that I like to do with strawberries, for example, because they're in season right now, is a basic baking soda wash. So pesticides are not stable at high pH. So that's the more alkaline pH. So baking soda being a pH of 9, water being a pH of 7, if we just take our strawberries, conventional strawberries, and we dip them in the water, and then we take 1 teaspoon of baking soda per about 2 cups of water and let it soak for about 15 minutes. Then rinse it off with cold water. You can enjoy your conventional strawberries without the added risk to your health.
That's amazing. Are there any fruits that are clean? Then you were talking about Clean 15. So what are some of those that we don't have to worry about as much?
So your pineapples, your cabbages, your asparagus, those are going to be more okay to buy conventional. Berries and lettuce and greens, I really try to prioritize organic wherever possible. You're going to get more nutrients out of those as well.
And even when a bag says like it's been washed 3 times like thoroughly, do you still feel like you should be washing it yourself at home?
Yeah, at least washing in cold water, because even if it's labeled organic, you don't know if the next field over was not organic, and there's wind and there's water runoff. So there's a lot to take in mind as to where you're buying your vegetables, and unless you're growing it yourself, you're really not going to know for sure.
That makes sense. Okay, I love that tip. Moving right along, our fridge water filter. Tell me about your tip here.
Yeah, so when was the last time you changed your fridge water filter?
I don't want to know.
So we should be changing it every 6 months.
Definitely not 6 months ago, sadly.
And that's mostly for bacteria buildup. But another thing to keep in mind with the fridge water, even just not the filter itself, but the dispenser, is it holds onto a lot of moisture and we can get mold growing in there. And mold is a big problem in the Northwest, but even if you're in the desert, you can have mold growing in your fridge. And the type of mold that we're seeing in the fridge dispenser is chaetomium, which is neurotoxic and linked with dementia. So if you want to protect your brain, I actually recommend using a silicone ice cube tray and either reverse osmosis water system or a desktop carbon water filtration system like a Berkey filter.
Okay.
Just to be extra safe. But if you do have a fridge water filter, at least change it every 6 months.
It makes perfect sense, and now I'm like, Kelly, get on it.
Yes.
Okay, washing machine, what are some tips here?
Yes, so we're seeing a lot of the front-loading washers because they're a little bit more compact, more convenient. They typically use a little less water, so it's good for the environment. The problem is that rubber gasket in the front. If you don't let it air out after you wash your clothes, you can get mold growing inside the gasket.
I know.
Mold is everywhere. So what I like to do to minimize the mold growth and protect the health of your clothes is to do a vinegar wash on high heat. So once a month, I'll take 2 cups of a white distilled vinegar. You can get this at Costco. I don't work for Costco. I wish I did. And I'll pour that in the detergent dispenser. So you'll see the bleach, the fabric softener. Just fill that with the white vinegar and then run on a high heat, high load. So you're getting a lot of water, a lot of heat, washing away all of the mold spores inside the drum, and then you're probably going to have to detail that gasket, which is a little gross. You can use a toothbrush, you can use a microfiber towel, but really making sure that there's no mildew and mold in there, because the type of mold that likes to grow in there is Stachybotrys, which is black mold.
Oh, wow. I know black mold is not good. I need to do that, and I didn't know about the high heat, high load,
Yes.
so I'm getting on that.
Yes.
Clean up your personal care products.
Yeah, so this is kind of a fun one. You can go shopping for an excuse
into
from your
that.
doctor. Yeah. So this is where I also like to use EWG.org, Environmental Working Group. They have a great app where you can take it with you into the store and you can type in whatever product you're considering, and it'll kind of give a green, a yellow, or a red as far as what's safe or concerning for your health. So these are two brands that I really like. Deodorant is a big one because it goes on the area of your skin where you're going to absorb a lot.
Yes.
So usually minimizing scents and minimizing additives is good. So the Native deodorant is great. Again, I'm not sponsored by them, but there's a lot of good brands out there. And then Ilia Makeup has great products that are really clean. So anything that's going on your skin is going to absorb. So in general, minimizing scents is a good way to go, but there's a lot of great brands that offer really fun products that are better for your health than the conventional makeups that we've seen in the past.
Definitely. I love Native for sure. Cleaning out your closet too. What's this last tip about?
Yeah, so something that we don't really think about, we think about maybe our produce and our environment and vacuuming, but our clothes. So how many of us live in athleisure wear all the time, which is made from...
If I'm not here, yes.
Yeah, polyester and spandex, which is a petroleum byproduct, so it's microplastics. So if you're sweating and living in those fabrics, you can be absorbing microplastics. So there are some companies using merino wool and organic cottons. You want to look for Oeko-Tex certified fabrics, which means they're not using chemicals and dyes that are harmful for both the environment and you. So really using your consumer buy-in to support the environment, but also support your own health. Again, anytime we're talking about microplastics, which I think most of us are storing our food in glass containers, but what's touching our skin? And the microplastics really affect our hormonal health.
Gosh,
Yeah.
Thank you so much for all of these incredible tips. You really opened my eyes, and I'm sure a lot of people at home, so we really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.